Welcome into Last Week in Sports. My name is Matthew Freeman. Happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate, and if you don't, I hope you at least had a good meal. Let's start the show by saying what we are all thankful for. I'm sure Jalen Hurts is thankful for his teammates pushing his tush into another Super Bowl appearance. I'm personally thankful for Josh Dobbs saving what is left of the Viking season, and college sports fans are always thankful for Rivalry Week.
Whoa. Did you say Rivalry Week?
Rivalry Week.
And it was a busy Rivalry Week as well, Bo.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry.
Starting with that astonishing finish to the Iron Bowl between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers. At Jordan-Hare Stadium, Auburn was poised to pull off a miraculous upset and deliver the final blow to Bama's playoffs hopes. A muffed punt gave Alabama the ball back with less than 5 minutes to play, with an illegal forward pass and errant snap leading to a 4th and 31 with just seconds left in the game, setting up the perfect revenge play for the kick six back in 2013. Milroe took the snap, and after moving in the pocket long enough to sing Kumbaya, heaved a bomb into the back of the corner of the end zone where Isaiah Bond waited to make the game-winning catch, keeping the Crimson Tide in playoff contention. The game concluded with a bunch of shots of Auburn fans crying in the stadium, with this one tweet summing up all of Auburn's fans' feelings after the game. At Eternity's Gate by Vincent Van Gogh. As an Auburn better go get to step in and hope for better luck next year. There's just something about seeing crying fans in a stadium that just brings a smile to my face. I don't know why. Something that also brought a smile to my face was my Florida State Seminoles defying all odds and overcoming their loss of star quarterback Jordan Travis by defeating their rival, the Florida Gators, in a game that the Gators really threw, or shall I say spat away, causing the Gators to suffer 3 straight losing seasons for the first time in 78 seasons. The Gators would blow a 12-0 lead by allowing the Noles to score 2 touchdowns on the last drive of the first half and their first drive of the second half. They had a player ejected for spitting at an FSU lineman. In the fourth quarter, the Gators had no plays that went for more than a yard. They gave up 50 yards in penalties, and their quarterback, Max Brown, was sacked 4 times and threw an interception. On the other hand, Mike Norvell's Noles never flinched without Travis at the helm, even when backup Tate Rodmaker went down with a blatant targeting penalty on the Gators. The Noles kept their cool behind third stringer Barack Glenn. Florida State outscored the Gators 17-3 in the second half, finishing the game with a score of 24-15. This would make it the 4th time the Seminoles have gone 12-0 in the school's history, and even without Travis leading the team, Florida State may have just proved they still deserve a spot in the playoffs. Someone else who will have to fight for a playoff spot now is the Ohio State Buckeyes after their gut-wrenching loss to a Harbaugh-less Michigan Wolverines. Now, there was a lot to talk about with this game, but in a battle between teams whose seasons would be defined by the outcome, the most evocative and most significant stretch of heroics was a long slug of a drive, 12 plays and 56 yards that tipped 7 grueling minutes off the game clock, which is like 78 hours in the real world, and ended it with a field goal. Now, there was nothing sexy about this final drive. The Wolverines had danced with the devil far enough at this point, going for it on 4th down 3 times, handing the running back the ball to sling it deep, and rallied behind an O-line without its best player. The Wolverines never trailed, but neither could they pull away. The field goal at the end of that 12-play drive gave Michigan a 6-point lead, which proved enough when Rod Moore picked off Kyle McCord to seal the 30-24 win, all while Jim Harbaugh was at home serving his final game suspension, probably laughing and telling the NCAA to suck it. If you have any other moments from Rivalry Week that stood out to you, be sure to let me know in those comments down below. Now head coach for the Buckeyes, Ryan Day, seems to be in the hot seat for Ohio State fans. Since his hiring 4 years ago, Day has gone 1-3 against Michigan, 1-3 in the playoffs, and just 1-6 against top 5 opponents. Despite going 55-4 against opponents not named the Wolverines, they will now have to answer what the program can do to change that. Michigan will now play the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Big Ten Championship, and the Buckeyes fans better pray Iowa can actually score some points. Some other rivalry week games worth mentioning: Kentucky's massive upset over the 10th ranked Louisville Cardinals in the Governor's Cup, with a 100-yard kickoff return from Kentucky's Barry Brown to help seal the deal with a score of 38-31. Then in a game honestly not worth mentioning outside of what happens after, in the Commonwealth Cup, Virginia Tech became bowl eligible by demolishing rival Virginia 55-17. But in the end, Virginia did get the last laugh. As VTech coach Brent Pry brought his team out to take a picture after the game, Virginia turned on the sprinklers. Beautiful, Virginia. Just beautiful. But you know what isn't so beautiful? Canada. No, not that Canada. Although with everything happening over there, it has seen better days. I'm talking about Matt Canada, who was fired by the Pittsburgh Steelers as their offensive coordinator on Tuesday. This is something Steelers fans have been calling for since the beginning of last season, with this season being no different.
There's a team that maybe has no shot to win it all. And if you're talking about what these people are talking about, that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had no idea. Wow.
You know, it's like
Hold up, Alex. Hold up. This is in Utah. It's God's life. Different sport. Oh, no.
Jeez.
Here's in the house.
Boy. He's there.
Just at sporting events, right? That's all.
Who are they talking about?
That's in the hills of Virginia.
Country?
Matthew Cannon. Speaking of fire. That's at the Capitol. That's the host of AJ Hawk's birthday party.
From sea to shining sea, it's seen the entire world wanted Canada out of Pittsburgh. And there's a reason for that. The numbers simply don't lie. Canada was the worst offensive coordinator of the head coach Mike Tomlin's era. Of the three previous coordinators, Bruce Arians averaged 21.2 points. With Randy Fitchner, that number was 22, and under Todd Haley, the Steelers averaged 23.5 points per game. Canada didn't even average 20, just 17.9 points per game. With Canada, the Steelers were outgained in 31 of their 45 games, while winning just 52% of regular season games. Hopes for the Steelers were high for Canada and the offense entering the season, and after a very impressive preseason, many analysts had the Steelers as their sleeper pick for potentially getting to the AFC Championship. But with quarterback Kenny Pickett's pass percentage dropping from 63% to 60% this year, and his QBR slid from 53.6 last year to 35.7 this year, adding to the fact that the Dallas defense now has more touchdowns than Pickett this entire year, it's safe to say Canada wasn't working out in Pittsburgh.
This is a result-oriented business, and to be short, the improvements were not rapid enough or consistent enough for us to proceed. You got to score touchdowns in this business. You got to win games in this business. And just the totality of it has us where we are today.
Do you think the Steelers have found their source for ineptitude in Canada, or will he just be another scapegoat for their mediocrity? Let me know what you think in those comments down below. Against the Browns last Sunday, the miscommunications between Canada and wide receiver Dionte Johnson were very apparent, as the ball would either be bouncing 10 yards over Johnson's head or 10 yards in front of him. Johnson would show frustration on the sideline, having an animated conversation with Tomlin, but the heated words from Johnson wouldn't stop there, as one source told ESPN on Saturday that Johnson, the Steelers' second leading receiver, continued chirping at the coaches all the way into the locker room, where safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, a three-time first-team All-Pro, began arguing with Johnson. The words between Johnson and Fitzpatrick became heated, according to another source, before Cameron Hayward and TJ Watt intervened and prevented the situation from getting worse. Sources around the team believe the Steelers have been able to move on, which at least they were able to get along well enough to rally against the Burrow-less Bengals on Sunday with a 16-10 victory. Something all NFL players can rally behind is getting rid of the turf in these stadiums, particularly in MetLife Stadium. The turf has waged a war with the players of the NFL, and it has claimed another victim in Miami Dolphins linebacker Jaelan Phillips. as he has torn his Achilles and will miss the rest of the season after the Dolphins' 34-13 victory over the New York Jets on NFL marketing scheme Friday Night Football. Phillips is the latest in a long list of players to suffer an injury on the turf field at MetLife Stadium, including Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who infamously tore his Achilles just 4 plays into the season. Phillips has played in just 8 of the 11 games this season, but was tied for the team lead with 6.5 sacks, something the Dolphins will surely miss as we inch closer and closer to the playoffs. Then, since it's the end of the regular season for college football, it's time to play everyone's favorite game, college coaches, hirings, and firings. The title is in the works, okay? First up is the Houston Cougars dismissing Coach Dana Hall-Gorson, who had 3 losing seasons in his 5 years as head coach, going 4-8 in its inaugural season in the Big 12. The Cougars now owe Hall-Gorson nearly $14.8 million in buyout money, but his contract includes a mitigation clause that could lower that amount if he gets another job. Then Indiana fired Coach Tim Allen. Indiana fired Coach Tom Allen a day after the Hoosiers completed their 3rd consecutive losing season. Allen finished 33-49 as the Hoosiers coach with a 9-26 record since 2020. Then, quickly after the Oregon and Oregon State rivalry game, Coach Jonathan Smith leaves his alma mater to be the head coach of Michigan State. Smith, a former Beavers quarterback, was 34-35 in 6 seasons at OSU, but 18-7 since the start of the 2022 season. Then Oklahoma offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby will be the new head coach at Mississippi State, agreeing to a 5-year deal to coach the Bulldogs. Then late on Sunday, Texas A&M believes they have found their replacement in Duke's head coach Mike Elko. Elko is a former Aggies defensive coordinator under Jimbo Fisher, who left 2 years ago to go take Duke's head coaching job. Elko immediately showed his chops as a head coach, authoring one of the biggest turnarounds upon landing the Duke job in the 2022 season. Duke went 9-4 in Elko's first season after he inherited a team that went 3-9 the year prior. His second season did go down a bit, finishing 7-5, but had very shiny moments like the season opener upset against the 9th-ranked Clemson Tigers. Elko takes over an A&M program that has struggled to maximize his monetary and talent resources. Is Elko the guy to bring the Aggies their first league title since 1998? Let me know what you think about him or any other college coaches getting hired and fired down in those comments below. But now jumping from college to the NFL again, the Washington Commanders have fired defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio as the Washington defense has plummeted to the bottom of the NFL rankings, entering the season with high expectations. The Commanders have now lost 3 games in a row and 8 of the last 10, including their 45-10 loss to the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Thursday. As the losses mounted, so did the pressure from the organization to make a move. Commanders fans may be relieved to hear this news, but curl right back up into their ball of despair, hearing head coach Ron Rivera, who also fired defensive backs coach Brent Wieselmeyer, will take over the defensive play calling for the rest of the season. The Commanders' defense ranks worst in points allowed and 29th in yards allowed, 1 year after ranking 7th and 3rd respectively in those categories. Then this next story I want to talk about I am very excited for. Not only because it's a wrestling story, and not only because Randy Orton made his grand return to the ring during the Survivor Series premium live event, but after 9 long years away from the WWE, CM Punk is back. And of course, he made his return in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois. The entire night was set for Punk's return. WWE teased the Chicago crowd at first by making it seem like Randy wasn't going to be able to show up for his War Games match against the Judgment Day. So naturally, Chicago fans thought Punk would have to replace him. Soon into the match though, after Rhea Ripley of the Judgment Day tried to cash in Damian Priest's Money in the Bank contract, Randy would make his way to the ring with a thunderous ovation from the crowd awaiting his 18-month return after having fusion back surgery. Randy would help his teammates Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes and World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins defeat the Judgment Day in the War Games match. Hopefully you didn't turn off the show like I did as Michael Cole was saying goodnight, as you would have missed the return of the self-proclaimed best in the world, CM Punk.
Love him, hate him, positive, negative, whatever you want to say. People talk about him all the time. He is a magnet for that. He's a conversation starter. And it's tough to look past that. And for me, if our fans want it, if the WWE Universe is excited to have it, then let's go.
The Chicago crowd in attendance erupted as if Jesus himself was walking down the aisle. But not everyone in the building was feeling the same cheer for Punk's return. That's World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, who made his feelings for Punk quite clear in the past.
Oh, Philly Phil, stay away, you cancer. Get away from me forever.
That interview, that's a shoot. That's Rollins' true feelings coming out about Punk. That freak out caught by the fan cam though, I believe that's a work. Although, that just gets me more excited about the potential feud between these two. Since it has been 9 years since Punk has been in the WWE, there are plenty of other faces for Punk to challenge, like AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and my personal choice for a match I want to see, Logan Paul. Now don't laugh at me for that, you know these two would have a banger of a match. And personally, I wouldn't mind hearing Punk roast the shit out of Logan Paul.
I am no longer a little boy trying to navigate this industry and figure out my life. I figured it out. I know who I am. And I am a WWE superstar, baby.
Let me know your thoughts on CM Punk's return down in the comments section below. I'm always up to talk about wrestling. But for now, since we have reached the end of the video, it is time to end it with our traditional last week MVP. The winner getting to take home this beautiful trophy. But first, before I announce who the winner is, I want to give a special shout out to the Minnesota Wild's goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury of the NHL, who wore a Native American heritage mask in warm-ups on Friday despite the NHL having forbidden him from doing so because it violated a new NHL policy on players wearing specialty equipment on theme nights. Fleury, however, wanted to honor his wife Veronique, who is Native Canadian, by wearing a specially designed mask and told his agent he would take any fines the NHL throws his way, although it doesn't seem the NHL will be doing any of that. He was considered after hearing the story of defiance, but he didn't even play, and the Wild would lose to the Colorado Avalanche 3-2. Oh, and yeah, Fleury didn't play. So you were close, but you have to actually play in the game to get this gorgeous trophy. Instead, this exquisite trophy will go to Deron Bland of the Dallas Cowboys for breaking the record of the NFL single-season interception returns for a touchdown with 5. The second-year cornerback returned an interception 63 yards for the Cowboys' final score in a 45-10 demolition of the Washington Commanders on Thanksgiving. Bland has more defensive touchdowns on his own than any other team this season. The Indianapolis Colts are second with 3. His 5 touchdowns are also equal to notable offensive players like Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley, and Josh Jacobs. So congratulations goes out to Deron Bland for accomplishing this impressive NFL record, and with 6 weeks still left in the season. I honestly hope you keep getting more and rack up that record to something no one will ever accomplish again. But I'm sure this right here is an even bigger accomplishment, winning your first ever last week MVP. I mean, look at this thing, it's magnificent. But don't you dare share it with Dak Prescott. That man is a thief. Did you see him steal turkeys from the Salvation Army Bowl during the Thanksgiving game? That is meant for our vets, Dak. Shame. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Last Week in Sports. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. It was yet again another busy week in the world of sports. So if there was any stories that I may have missed, or if you want to talk about any of the stories I may have mentioned, be sure to let me know in those comments down below. Until next time, this has been Last Week in Sports. My name is Matthew Freeman, and I'll see ya when I see ya.